third in our series of, in our Confidence Builder series, building up confidence in quilting, and giving you some other ideas of other things that you can do as well as stitching the ditch. I think that tends to be sort of the go-to solution, and sometimes it takes a little bit more practice than we may have thought. So what I'm trying to do in this series is give you some other ideas, just to show you that quilting in our squares doesn't have to be that difficult, but it can give us some effective results. So our first blocks, we did either side of the seam lines. We used the edge of our walking foot to give us distance. Our second one, we did a crosshatch design going through diagonally through our squares. This time we're going to be doing a mixture of both. So I'm going to just be marking the crosshatch lines. So just as we did on the other one, we're just going through the centre of our blocks. And remember that if they don't quite line up, you can alter your direction so that when you get to the corner, you're going through the centre of it. When it comes to the big quilt, it becomes more noticeable that you're off if you don't go through the centre. So just remember that on our square, the edges will be slightly off from the centre because we haven't got the seam allowances. So I've gone that way, now I'm going to mark them the other way. Of course, for our going either side of the seams, we don't need to mark that because you can just sew that as we go. So when it comes to stitching, I will be stitching the straight lines first, either side of our seams, and then I will be doing the cross hatching. Just a couple more lines to mark, and then I will pin it together to keep it in place. There we go. It does help if I do it the other direction. So you want to get your lines marked before you pin it, because your pins will get in the way. Right there. I've got those lines on, it's just the bottom half of that I didn't do, and this one. There we go. Now I can finish pinning it, and then you can take it to sew together, and we'll take those pins out as we go. Need some more pins. Nearly there. There we go. So just get the machine set up with a walking foot and away we go. Okay, so the camera ran out while I was in the middle of that. I'm not sure where I got up to, what you heard. So I've done vertically and horizontally. I've gone either side of all those seams. So now all my pins are out. Check on the back and you can see that I've done them all. You've got your grid on the back. So now it's going to be doing the crosshatch, and again I'm just going to do from the middle outwards. Though this is now firmly in place, those straight lines would have helped stabilise the fabric. It still helps to get it fixed in your mind. We're going from one side to the other. So going to start, be my longest one. So I'm going to start the corner. Remember that you are in control of the direction that you are stitching. So the lines that you've drawn are a guide, but you want to be aiming so that you're going through the centre of each square. So if you need to adjust your position, just do it gradually through the stitching of that square. I don't want any big deviations off, but if you do it gradually, then it will not be noticeable that you've changed direction. And now that you've stitched either side of your seams, you've got extra markers there for checking direction. You've got 2 extra lines which will help to make sure that you are lining up. So just in case it didn't get on the video, a lot of people have been asking about having problems with tension as they're quilting. If you're using a high loft polyester wadding, you are asking your machine to do a lot, and there is a lot of fabric thickness to be getting under through your machine. So always make sure that you're using your walking foot. Make sure that you've lengthened your stitch length. And the other thing that you might need to do is just to slow down. When you've got lots of trying to get through your machine, some of them just don't like doing it fast. So if you're having problems like that, just see if you slow down and keep a steady pace, whether that helps. Of course, just go through your normal checklist of things like cleaning your machine, making sure your bobbin is threaded properly through the case and your machine has been threaded properly. Could be that you need a new needle. But if you tried all those and you're still getting problems, then adjust your speed. When you're doing free motion quilting, you need that balance between your speed and the movement to be able to get a nice clean stitch. So there you are, I've just done one lot of diagonals. So now I'm going to be coming back the other way. So You may be doing your quilting by machine, but it can still take quite a bit of time. And this is just a nice way to mix things up a bit. So another question that gets asked is about the minimum distance between quilting you should do. When you buy in your wadding, it will tell you the recommended distance, and that's just a minimum. You can go a lot closer. So for a lot of waddings, it's around about 8 inches, but you check with each one. So we're talking about the problem of getting a lot of bulk through the machine, and that's one of the reasons why I recommend in my classes, especially for beginners, about using cotton wadding. It's what I use all the time, it's what I prefer. I personally don't like the feel of polyester. I do like the high loft effect you get when you quilt with it, but I don't like to touch it. So I do use cotton wadding. And one of the reasons why I recommend it for those that are just beginning is because it is thinner and flatter, it makes it a lot easier to get through your machine. So I think I've done it all. I'll just check on the back, because you can see your quilting better. You can see, nope, I've got to go that way. Oh, there we go. So I always check on the back of my quilts to see whether I've quilted it all, because it's usually plain fabric, so you can get to see the quilting easier. So you might be wondering, if you're using cotton wadding, is it warm? Because the extra puff on the polyester makes it appear warmer, and I can vouch for it that they are warm. I use my quilts on my bed. In the winter I do layer them up. I think the maximum I've ever had is 4. But I don't have a continental quilt. I could just use the quilts that I've made and I layer them up until I've got enough on there to keep warm. There we go. So that is how it looks when you do your crosshatch plus your straight line either side of your seams. So let's bring you in so you get a clearer look, and that is very effective. So I hope you enjoyed that. I look forward to seeing you on our next video. Look forward to seeing your squares. Do share them with us if you're stitching along too. So take care for now, and we'll speak to you soon.